We've talked about substitutes, we've talked about threat of new entrants. The next thing we're going to talk about is the power of buyers. Hey, that's me. Yeah, that's usually you. If you are a middle class person, you probably spend the majority of your income buying things. And so when we talk about buyers, we're often talking about normal, everyday people. So in Porter's mind, buyers, we're these evil people competing with the industry by forcing down prices, we're bargaining for higher quality or more services, we're playing competitors against each other, all at the expense of industry profitability. This is a direct Porter quote. And so Porter very clearly sees buyers as the enemy in an industry, and he sees that one thing that businesses should do to maximize their return on investment is to disempower buyers, to take away buyers' bargaining power. And there's some different ways you can do that. So what does a powerful buyer look like? You are a powerful buyer of bread. No one is screwing you on bread. You're pretty smart about bread. You've been buying bread most of your life, so you probably know how much a loaf of bread should cost. If someone tries to sell you a $20 loaf of bread, you're going to call BS on that, right? You have a ton of different bread options to choose from, too many, probably. And not only that, but there's a lot of bread substitutes, right? If bread ever gets too expensive, let's have some tortillas. Let's have some pita, or even rice could be a bread substitute. So you're very powerful. No one's going to screw you over on bread. On the other hand, you are a weak internet buyer, right? There's not a lot of places to buy internet from, maybe only one or two companies that provide access to your location. You don't really understand the cost. Maybe you do. I don't really understand the costs associated with providing internet. So I'm paying like $100 for internet every month. I don't know how much it's actually costing Comcast to deliver me internet. And not only that, there's no substitutes, right? If you don't use the internet, what are you going to do? Telegraph, ham radio, public library, gross. No. So you really have no substitutes for internet. You don't know how much it costs, and there's not a lot of options to get it from. So you're a weak internet buyer. And this is, of course, what Michael Porter wants. When you look at the internet service provider industry, that's exactly what Michael Porter wants. Buyers are powerful when they make up a large portion of sellers' revenue. This is the Ojai Valley, this is where I went to high school, and they grow a lot of oranges out there. And there's a lot of farmers that grow oranges out there. And there's really only a few companies in the United States that buy bulk oranges, like Sunkist, for example. And so those companies that buy the vast majority of oranges in the United States, they have a lot of power, right? Because if you don't sell to them, who else are you going to sell to? And not only that, but you have a perishable food item you have a perishable item as well. And so buyers are really powerful in this case. The other reason that buyers are really powerful in like the citrus industry is because the products are essentially undifferentiated. There's not a big difference in quality of oranges from one farmer's orchard to another farmer's orchard. And so there's a few buyers out there that are buying the bulk of the product, and the product is basically the same. So if you don't sell it to them, they'll just go get it somewhere else. And this is true for citrus. This is true across the agricultural industry. Buyers are powerful when they have full knowledge about the costs associated with a product or service. This is why, I don't know about you, but I am not very powerful when I go into the mechanic, right? Like I take my car into the mechanic and he's like, oh, you need a new doohickey woodad, and that will be, the part is only 14 cents, but the labor is going to be $15,000. And I'm just like, okay, that sounds right. I don't know. Because I don't know that much about cars. And so because of that lack of knowledge, I don't have a lot of bargaining power with the seller. Companies or industries specifically try to obscure prices to make it more difficult for buyers to know what's going on. So like, you need a PhD in accounting to understand your Comcast bill every month. Look at this. I mean, this is like a whole page with like 50 different numbers. And of course, that's done on purpose. They're trying to obscure how much you're paying and what you're paying for. The most egregious example of this is the healthcare industry, where you have no idea what anything costs. Like when your doctor tells you you need an operation, you're never like, well, how much is that going to run me? I mean, maybe ballpark, but they don't even know most of the time, right? And then you get back from the hospital and you have a bill for like $40 for 2 aspirins, because they purposely obscure the prices of everything. You never quite know what you're paying for things, and so it takes away power from the buyers, and it allows them to charge exorbitant prices for things.